permission to, it's like getting permission to be, and you've helped with that.
Well, you know what it is, Millie, is we get to see ourselves.
Lovely.
Whenever we're drawn to, like through all my years of being drawn to a spiritual teacher or whatever, it's because what they're emanating is really a reflection of all of us because we're all that oneness, right? That
Mhm.
soulful part that we're united in and spirit. And so we want that. We want that for in here, but we see it in them. So we're grasping at them initially until we realize that when we are resonating with someone, it's because we're seeing ourselves in the reflection.
Yeah. No, so I love your way you are able to put it
Yeah.
all in words. I'm like, I feel you.
But that's the gift, right? Because at the
Yeah.
beginning of my journey, in 1975, when I met my spiritual teacher, it was like, what is that? There's something here I want more of. And it was because I was touching that part of me that I didn't, that wasn't, the light wasn't shined on it before, right? And now
Mm,
it's shined on it. So now I wanted more of me, right?
yeah.
So it's a journey of discovery and owning yourself. And as you know, you went through part of my journey when I lived in Sebastopol, and that piece that brought me to that the pinnacle of learning to love myself
Mm,
because it was easy for me to give it to someone else. It was easy for me to have compassion, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, or the other, all focused on the other. And when that wasn't working finally for that perfect moment, and it went, oh, I need to love me and
yeah.
take care of me in the same way and make my decisions from there, not from making sure they're okay, not making sure whatever a marriage is working, a job is working, whatever the case may be. It's really coming from a deeper place. So that was my gift through that journey.
Yeah. No, it was a gift for me to witness it. And also through that, being able to go and you've been continued to be a silent teacher for me even as you moved to Sedona. So
Well, you
yeah,
got to come here. It was
I
so
know,
cool
and
to
I
have
love
you
that
here.
too. I want to go to I'm like, I happened to meet this woman in New Mexico. She resonated like my mom and just was amazing, everything, how that worked out. And then she was like, I want to go in a cave. And I was like, what? My friend. And so I'm working on connecting you two. She invited, I think I told you she had an event she saw in Sedona. And I was like, oh, if we go out there, we should go see Kerani Marie. So
Perfect.
yeah,
Perfect. I love it. I love it.
I'm
And
excited.
I'm really curious about the name of your show, of course, How to
Yeah,
Make America Sacred Again, right?
making America sacred again.
Making America Sacred Again. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love that you're bringing that part into your work because that's who you are. And you have the capacity to
Aw.
be, the left brain part of you that knows how to do things so well and understands things. But you have this other side, that spiritual side of you that will make you more whole in yourself, but also what you bring to others
Thank
is
you.
reflecting all of them too. So, and that's what I enjoyed about you. We met getting our
Yeah.
fingernails done, right?
I know. I was like, oh, these are all things I'm going to touch on in our talk on when we go in. And that's where the being able to bring it all together, and not be compartmentalized is
Right.
so what you gave me permission to do is how I
Mhm.
kind of see it. Like we just sometimes need that. Like, oh, it's okay to be yourself.
Absolutely.
Or to
Absolutely.
love yourself, So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So thank you
So.
for that. Glenn uh Aparicio Perry, he wrote the book Original Thinking, Original Politics, and Original Love is something he's releasing next. And in the Original Politics, his subtitle is Making America Sacred Again. And so I got to meet them at the event, or him and this group he's part of. and just wonderful, great people. And at dinner, uh, politics got brought up, and that's where he gave me his hat. It was really good, and I could see where there was differences in opinions, and it was interesting to see how it kind of changed the energy of that space. And like we were at one side table, and this, I'll just be tell you, but this one woman, she's from Russia, and I don't think she's here legally, but so she has a big hate against the president and was saying how she wanted to like shoot his face and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, let's, like bring it back to the sacred. And this other woman, she was a 70-year-old native, and she protests, and her friend had got harassed by police. So like it was really like, man, here we had this a great experience at Chaco Canyon, and then at dinner, this is what's getting brought up. And it wasn't that I was intending to talk politics or have it all conversed. I was just recognizing the guy that I was sitting next to who wrote the book, and so then and my whole like issue is I've just been enraged by everything, and my opinions is based on what I think is sacred. But I have to have the conversation to be able to communicate that, and if
Right,
you
right.
can't, because you have so many text box words or people don't actually read them, or the memes just get misconstrued and you can't really explain yourself. So that's where I started going on live, because I recognized I was pissing a lot of people off. I was pissed off, and it's one way to get to people, but it wasn't really bringing what I wanted. It was like also recognizing how then I'm perpetuating it. So, and a friend called me, and she was like, oh, and it was nice that she called me. So it made me like recognize. And so then at dinner, I feel this energy that I'm like trying to not be involved with again. And I hear these things, and I'm like, let's just bring it back to the sacred. In this conversation, how do we relate? And how do we get to the point where we can actually have the conversation? Because she's triggered over here by a name. She's triggered over here because of the brutality and the racism. And then he's like, wants everything equal. And I'm just like, ah, like no matter where you go. And it's really why I went, was to just like understand. And then it was change the whole tone when I was like, let's bring it back to the indigenous way. Like, how would we deal with it? So that's what really inspired this whole thing. And then I just kind of, everything I'm told to do it in my head. It was part of my little projects that I have to do.
Well,
And so,
you're listening to your soul. And
yeah.
I wanted to just share something, because what I've learned is that when you're in situations like that, if you can actually just acknowledge what they're feeling, that softens everything. Like, wow, that really is a strong sense or strong feelings you're having right now. I really can feel how deeply this impacts you. It's like all of a sudden they go, oh, I'm heard. I don't have to fight anymore. I can just be heard. And that opens the door for more communication too.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. And that's where it's learning to soften my words, because that's where it's like abrupt. And so then
Yeah.
it's, reaching out to people like you. So thank you
Oh,
for being part of it. What the intention of this is to open up space for people to share the way of being. And that's, you do that so naturally. I also want to talk about how you're able to, in your book, the three positions, or how would you say it? Like you have Sophia, grandmother spirit, and then your dream interpretations and your training there. So talking about like weaving all that in somehow.
It says it's being live streamed on my screen.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Here we are. Hi.
These opportunities. So welcome to Making America Sacred Again. I'm Milli Cannata, and with Own Your Dreams Academy, featuring my beloved friend, Kerani Marie. Thank you
Hi.
for joining us.
Uh-huh. It's
So
exciting to be here and be with you, Millie.
I know, I love that we have this virtual space. I'm sad you moved, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
moved, but I'm still here.
it's divine. But really excited for you to be one of the first guests on this new series I've been inspired to do. And to really, it was just divine timing because you impacted my life so much when we met at the nail salon and I was, looking like in my pajamas basically, and you accepted me as I was. And from there, you had a really big impact on my career and my way of working in my business. So I was blessed for that serendipitous moment.
Mm, I was too, because not only were you a joy to meet, and it's so much fun, we're getting our nails done and just talking away, right? But then you became my realtor as well. So I got to experience you in your full glory of the world that you work well in and thrive in and in service to others. And then our friendship just deepened, and I really got to experience your soul and your sacredness. So that's been a blessing for me as well.
Yeah, well, likewise back at you. It's being, I was mentioning earlier, like you gave me permission to be myself and to, really like the compartmentalizing of our person being a mother and, a realtor and all these different pieces. And you really like gave me that permission to be whole and to
Mhm.
show up who I am, so thank you for that.
I think we're all here to walk each other home, the soul's journey home for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely clinged on to you as a grandmother spirit, as
Mm,
you had, introduced me to your book. You've written a few books, which we'll talk about, but The Emerging Woman, from Shame to Freedom, is that correct?
mhm.
And reading that book, it was interesting, I recognize now also after reading your new release, From the Tomb to the Womb, how the timing of those books actually relate to me at such magical points where I was going through, figuring out myself from being the maiden to the mother and, what am I supposed to show up as and do? And like, you just, the way you write things, it's like it pierces our soul. And
Uh,
then the Tomb to the Womb you just released, and, that, and it's just another profound. Oh, it's just the way that you're able to tap into your spirit and share it, and to where that it's so relatable, and the messages that how you weave those through, it's, you can't put the books down. It's just,
oh, that's great to hear. And,
yeah,
as you're talking, Millie, your show about making America great or making America sacred
exactly.
again,
Yeah.
excuse me, isn't that our journey to really know and find our way back to our sacredness? Because we have not only have we forgotten, but we weren't shown that very much in our lives. Our culture has been so inundated with possessions and images of ourselves, and it hasn't focused on it or hasn't been valued as much to live in a sacredness of who we are. And I feel like your journey of creating this program and bringing people on to talk is really going to be in service to that. And that's where all of my books come from, is as I lived my journey, because these books are a 60-year span of time, but they were all based on real life experiences, but fictionalized. So each experience allows us to either stay with our ego's anger, resentment. What can I get out of this? Why are you doing that to me? Or what am I here to learn from this? How do I connect to my soul? How do I remember my connection to all beings and that we're all sacred? So I think that's what you're referring to, is because that's where the book came from. And those are what my words came from, was that exploration and that curiosity.
I love it. It's just so good. It's so good. I love that we have this opportunity to sit and chat with you. And I, of course, have a ton of questions, but to properly introduce yourself, I don't want to, mess it up. There's so much profound work that you have done aside from authoring these books, but uh, please share so everybody knows your background and how you fell into spirit and just, yeah.
Well, as as a young mother, and working in the school district, I was interested in psychology and learning more about the human condition. And so I was really gravitating toward the grammar school psychologist, and I'm one of the teachers there. And that piqued my interest quite a bit. But then in 1975, a friend that I worked with in the schools was just different than everyone else. And I said to her, "What makes you different?" And she said, "Do you really want to know?" And I said, "Yeah, I really want to know." And she says, "Well, I've been receiving teachings from these two swamis." And I know, "What's a swami?" I didn't even know what that meant. Well, it's teacher from India. And I said, "Well, I'm interested to learn more and I'd like to meet them." She says, "Well, I think you need to read a few books first." So she gave me a couple of books to read, and I was like, "Give me more, give me more." It was like somebody was watering my garden inside. Well, then she came to me and said, "We're going to have our first class this coming Friday, and would you like to join me?" And I said, "Yes, of course." Thursday night or Friday morning, I had a dream. And in that dream, I saw a picture of a book on a shelf and a light on it. That's it. There was nothing else in the dream except the image of a book on a shelf with a light on it. And so all day long, it was haunting me because the two words in the book, I didn't even know what they meant. So I couldn't even really even speak those words. So that night we go to this ashram to meet these teachers and receive some teachings. And I walk into the foyer and there's the book on the shelf with a light on it. And that was the moment I knew that something more than the seen world was at work here. Something more than our normal things that we pay attention to was communicating with me. And it took many, many years. That night, I met my teacher, who was my teacher for over 30 years until he passed away. He's still my teacher in an internal way. But that was the book he started to teach from that night, and it was called Raja Yoga, the royal yoga. And yoga is union. And what we're talking about is the union of the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the wholeness of who we are, and not fragmented pieces of who we are, kind of like what you mentioned earlier. So that was the beginning of my spiritual journey, which led me to become ordained myself, to travel the world, to visit spiritual centers all over the world, where I was blessed to meet Mother Teresa. And that's another fun story because she had so inspired my heart and soul because of her kindness and her generosity, deep, deep compassion for human beings. I wanted to be like her, right?
Yeah.
And so I was so enamored that I just knew I had to meet her. And my mother was a little concerned I wasn't going to come back because she knew how much she meant to me. Well, when I was in Calcutta, I picked up the phone book and looked up the Sisters of Charity to call and say, "I'm here with my spiritual teacher. We're traveling. We'd like to come by and make an offering to the orphanage. And if possible, if Mother Teresa's even here, is it possible to see her?" So I lay out this whole story, and the voice on the other end says, "I'm here now, come." And it was Mother Teresa.
Wow.
So those kind of moments are kind of like, a light post on the way to say you're on the right path. You're living in resonance with your soul because things are showing up in ways that
Yeah.
are in service to you. And so that was how my spiritual path began. And but the book, The Grandmother's Spirit, I know you're curious about that. I had had a Kundalini experience, and I don't know if your readers will know what that is, but it's a term used from India to describe, and actually it's described in all religions all across the world and traditions and indigenous people.
Mm.
Term is really about an energy that's held within all of us at the base of our spine. And there are times spontaneously, or people work very hard to activate it, which that energy rises up the spine and then clears your system. People, unfortunately, have a limited perspective of it in that they believe that if that happens, you become enlightened and everything's perfect after that. That isn't how life works. It does provide more energy. It does clear out the things that are in your way of you being fully engaged with your soul and your spirit. And I was in my first Kundalini journey. I was living in our spiritual temple because I couldn't be in my home due to chemical sensitivities I had cultivated. And while in the temple, I had a sense of something and someone around me, and it just wasn't going away. And I could feel this being. It was benevolent, but it still was a little unnerving, right? And I heard the voice say, you know, I'm grandmother spirit, and you're going to write a book. And your book is going to be with me telling the story. And it will be told in the Escalante River Canyon of Utah, in the Red Rock Canyons. And at that point, my system was also electromagnetically sensitive, so I couldn't be around computers or phones or anything. So I took a pencil and paper and I started writing the story that she told me I was going to write. So that's how she began. And to realize over the years, she's my inner wisdom. She is me through a vision and through hearing, but it's my soul speaking, right? So she's my inner wisdom guide, and she's my grandmother's spirit. And the two books that I wrote from that are a series of two stories of coming home to your soul. And so, like you mentioned, the first one was Emerging Woman, a rite of passage from shame to freedom. This is a 50-year odyssey. And the artwork is mine. And then I just had another Kundalini journey, 27 years to the exact date of my first one. It was April 28th of 2025 this time. And over these last 6 months, I've written 5 books. It's just coming through me because I've been homebound because of the rewiring of my nervous system and reconfiguring of it. It has left me more homebound, which is fine because I've written all these amazing books for myself. And
Yeah.
this one, From the Tomb to the Womb, you know, the alchemy of love, loss, and rebirth, is the companion and the completion of a 60-year journey. So
Wow.
that's how it all started, Millie, and where
Yeah.
it's going to.
If I only knew when I met you at the nail salon, you would be one of my divine teachers.
My
And
gosh.
again and again. But
Right.
yeah, thank you. You know, there's so much from all of that and where to start. So, you know, when you in your writings, you have been able to embody um different perspectives. And so you'll have, you know, the main character, you have grandmother spirit, and then you also go into Jungian training. Is that how you would say that correctly?
Mhm.
So how, when you're authoring, like you have this divinity come in and you're writing, and so is it coming through in those 3 parts that you have to figure out which is what, or you know, are you going through their original story and then kind of more, how's that flow work for you?
Well, how it works for me, like I said, this is based on true life experiences, but fictionalized. So the original book was from all of my journals.
Yeah, 60 years of
Right,
wow. Yeah.
right. And so because Jungian therapy or Jungian analysis became such an integral part of my life back in 2000, when I was in the process of healing from my Kundalini journey, and was learning about cranial sacral therapy, I met this man who was a Jungian therapist, and I was at a retreat where he was providing this Jungian perspective of the divine and the sacred spirit, and cranial sacral was providing theirs based on it through the body too. And so the two wove together very beautifully. So when I write, I pull from the things that connect me to my soul and my sacredness. And I speak about events from that perspective. So I can give you a story, but the story has to be enriched with, or is enriched through, bringing the perspective of the dream world, like my first experience with the dream world, showing me there's more to this than meets the eye, right? So that's what I did. And that's how I wrote the book. Like, okay, this circumstance happened. And now from the Jungian dream world, how does it see this meshing into my life, right?
Mhm.
So the characters live out stories. Grandmother Spirit tells the stories, and the Jungian perspective is to pull it all together along with Grandmother Spirit. And so I just listen, and you can't sit down and write just to write. I mean, you can as an exercise to get things moving, but when it really works is when it's coming from something deeper inside that sacred spiritual place,
Mhm.
that inner wisdom part of you, and it flows. Then it just flows, and then you can fix the typos and all that. But if I just say, okay, I got to write today, what am I going to
What a task.
what am I writing about? It's like a
Yeah,
poetry, because my other book that's coming out, and actually the launch is 12/12 at 12/12 live on Facebook.
that's so good.
And poetry comes from me from when I'm feeling something so intense, so deeply profound, whether it's emotional, um, what do I want to say? That underworld of the emotional hardness of being alive, or that emotional high of being so deeply, profoundly connected in your gratitude and joy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which, but I'm connected, and I sit down and I just write what I'm seeing and feeling and perceiving, and then I refine it. So that's how my writing comes to life.
I love it. And you do live life as a ritual, or
Mhm.
a daily practice and being in sacredness. And I'll just ask that question now. So, and you've already pretty much alluded to all of this, but if you had to summarize, what does sacred mean?
It means that I'm feeling and connected to something beyond my limited perspectives, that something new is coming in. So I see it from new eyes. I feel it in a new way in my body. And
Mm.
I feel the profoundness of it. So, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's because I'm higher than a kite, because, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Life's incredible. And I'm just radiating gratitude. Or it's I'm deeply, deeply wounded and in grief, because it's sacred there too. The
Mm.
sacredness is being alive and present and being willing to experience the wholeness of it. If my grief is just, why did this happen to me? What's wrong with this world? I didn't deserve this, on and on and on, which is natural and normal and will happen. But if I just stay there, I'm losing the sacredness because I'm not allowing it to be part of that journey. And it is more. It is more than just the limitedness of living, because it is all of it. So all that I shared about grief is real, is sacred, but I don't know its sacredness unless I allow that in. Otherwise, I'm just in that moment of, this shouldn't be happening. I don't like it. Go away. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But if I can have a witness to it, and the witness knows there's a lot going on here, I'm just here. I'm paying attention because I know the gold will come. I know that the purity of the gift here will reveal itself. Not right now, perhaps,
Mhm.
because I'm present, I will see it and not be fighting it so much. Does that help? Does it explain for?
Yeah, I love it. I actually have taken an Ayurveda course, and one of the things was talking about the preciousness,
Right.
and like recognizing that innocence and the how precious these emotions are, even, as far as being able to embody our emotions. And then what you described is really like having divine faith that you are like you're safe and protected. Yeah, or divine faith that you're in the flow, and recognizing that you're walking the path, or when the being a witness to circumstance so that you're not a victim to circumstance.
Right. And one of the ways of doing that is to become intimate with it and to make see it as an ally rather than a problem. And so if it
Yeah.
rises, it's like you're pushing it away. I don't want to feel this. Go away. Leave me alone. I don't like this. Well, where's it going to go? It's just going to go deeper inside until it comes out even more intense, right?
Mm.
So instead of pushing it, we say, I hear you. Wow, that's intense. Those are intense feelings. I want to know more. Tell me more. You befriend this part of you instead of alienating that part of you. That fragmentation is what makes us unhappy, which makes us angry. It makes us retaliate against others. That's where, you're talking about how do we bring sacredness back to our country? It starts here.
Thank you.
The country is this big piece outside of us with multiplicity of input from all kinds of things. But if I feel sacred and I bring that sacredness, the next person feels that sacredness and it grows in that way. And that's the gift we bring one by one breath at a time, by befriending ourselves first so we can befriend others who are in pain and suffering rather than pushing them away and making them bad. And if we look at what's happening in our world or in our country, it's like there's just a lot of you're wrong, I'm right. You're bad, I'm good. We got to get rid of you so only I can survive. And it's like total separateness and division and abusiveness to each other rather than, wow, you're really hurting. I hear you. I feel you. Tell me more, you
Thank
know?
you for describing that, because that has been my anger. And, I see it frustration and rage, and how even I would find myself playing into it, and that where I appreciate you, and being able to witness you through your journey, as you described in your book. It gave me, it was able helped me be able to better relate, as far as accepting these emotions instead of just, like you said, pushing them down and causing greater rage and whatnot. And then it again, thank you for leading by example, as far as how do we stop the chaos, or how do we be and show up in the sacredness. And I, it seems so simple to just think, oh yeah, you honor the fact that they're in pain. Wow. But for it's so easy as we're all in our trauma and so forth,
Yes, we are.
be in this. And that's where, you look at it like fight or flight, whatnot. And I'm always in a warrior mode, and it's exhausting. It's like I don't want to keep fighting. And it's really the irony of it is it comes from compassion. These people who are all angry care. That's the funniest part. If they didn't care, none of it, they wouldn't even have the arguments, and so.
So it's like pointing out, wow, you really care. But here again, Millie, it's that if we're not able to do it with ourselves, we can't do it with another. We can try to practice doing it with another, but we're going to react because we haven't dealt with it here.
Yeah, but
Once Once I know how to be with my anger, my frustration, my grief, my sense of not feeling enough, all those pieces of us, then when we see it in another, we're not so apt to push it away, get angry at it, and fight it, because that's what we do inside. If you watch any human being, what they're doing on the outside is what they're doing to themselves.
Yeah.
And
And
that's a lifelong journey of learning to be in relationship with yourself. But I'll tell you
yeah,
what, the rewards are beyond any effort you would could conceive of putting into it. They're so precious. The preciousness is the word.
yeah. It's a peace.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a peace,
peace.
it's a true freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you start to do the work and you realize, wow, I didn't react to that. Wow, something did change. Because our reaction is just us needing attention. So every
Yeah.
time we react, it's like, whoa, that part of me really needs
To be
me.
seen.
It needs me. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing you really helped me love is in the in between. You
In
know,
between, right.
will you share more about what it means to sit in the in between, or to like I've learned to embody the in between, like that's where the magic is. Help me
Right.
understand that more.
It's kind of like, that double bind. If I do this, it's not going to be good. And if I do that, it's not going to be good. Or the polarities of opposites, and you want a little bit of both, and you're just constantly fighting yourself with back and forth and back and forth. So the in between is that uncomfortable place of not knowing, right? It's
Mhm.
that uncomfortable place where I'm not choosing either. I don't know what to do. But in that place is where something new can emerge. Where can something new come from except something in between these polarities that are pulling at us, right? And that's where the magic happens, where the unknown shows up and the possibilities. So it's not running away from it any longer. It's like, oh, I'm in that in between. It is so dang uncomfortable. I've got to make a decision. I got to get out of this. And then if I take a breath and go, ooh, maybe there's something here. Let me just be curious.
Yeah, you talked about witnessing. So
Mhm.
we're all witnessing everyone, but let's bring it back. We gotta heal ourselves. I recognize this situation. My kids are older. I can't just tell them what to do and teach them the way. And I only can be an example anymore, And so um, when we talk about witnessing, it's hard to sit and witness ourselves. So what tips do you have when people are, starting to recognize these things creeping in?
Well, first of all, I think that one of the key elements that helped me was to be able to do meditation practices that teach you to witness. And
Mhm.
the meditation practices are, can you just be present to what's going on right now? Can you feel yourself breathing? Can you feel that itch on your nose? Can you feel your nausea? Can you feel the need to get up and stop sitting here? Can you feel or listen to the part that says, this is stupid, I don't want to be doing this? All those things happen. But it's putting in the time, even if it's 5 minutes a day for a while, and then 10, and then 15, and you just keep adding, you're developing a skill to be present and witness yourself. And that's what you need before you can sit in the in between. You have to be aware that you're fighting with yourself. You have to be aware that you're wanting to attack the outside world because you're unable to deal with the inside world. But it has to start by taking the time and paying attention. And that's time and grade, you know?
Yeah,
Kindness. Can you just be kind? Even
yeah.
just sitting for 5 minutes and be kind that you don't want to be sitting there. Like, okay, I get you don't want to sit here, but we're going to sit here for 5 minutes. But I don't want to, but we're going to. And then you, right?
Oh, you are in my head. Yeah,
The one I loved, I was in a meditation retreat, and the teacher, it's mostly silent, but the teacher was doing a guided meditation at the time. And the meditation was just to pay attention to what's happening. And when your body or your mind wants an answer, just say, I don't know. And just every time I just, just in there, and, I don't know. I knew what, and then something, I don't know. And just do that. It was your practice.
Hmm.
And then at one point, the question was, am I doing this right? And the teacher goes, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's really,
Yeah,
give it up, right?
thank
I
you.
don't know.
That's a beautiful tidbit also, because
Yeah,
often people overthink even just meditating. I
right.
do myself, and it's like I recognize uh I love having tools to remind me to use them, but then sometimes I'll like, oh, well, I just zapped through that prayer, or, I looked at it. So like I'm spiritually bypassing myself, or, there are these
And then
two.
we do it and we go, and I love you for all of you and all those parts that do that. So here's something I just love. And I just actually recently was reminded of this. Women have learned to pay attention to everyone else's emotions, caretake their emotions, make sure everything is okay. And they did that to feel safe.
Hmm,
Now,
yeah.
my mother, when she was, I don't know, 8 years old, maybe, she got on her brother's bike and started riding it. And the father came home from work and he took her and almost beat her to death because girls don't ride bicycles. So all her life was making sure that she knew what was coming because she didn't do anything wrong, but she almost got beat to death because she did something that someone didn't like. So here's the other side. Men tend, and I'm generalizing, this is a big generalization, it isn't about everybody, are more apt to not have as much emotional responses to feel strong,
Hmm, yeah.
right? They were taught being strong was what was important. Women were taught being safe was what was important. And so we learn these things and they just happen. So we have to find kindness and compassion for ourselves as human beings. We are very complex, very diverse, and yet we all really want love, right? We all really want to feel safe. We all really want to feel happy. So just knowing that we have that common ground, we all hurt is so important. And the work we do for ourselves, but we do it for all of humanity because everything we do affects everyone.
Yeah. It's interesting how some, well, so at this event I was at, the one of the teachers had mentioned how people are flocking to wellness retreats because they're in disease and are looking to be saved essentially. And it really is reconnecting with ourselves and how we've and it was he was reminding us, or even himself, as far as embodying ourselves fully. And that's where being able to be your friend and be around you and witness that has then given me that permission. And where I recognize, though, in our society it seems that we have different, that's where it gets challenging to really discern. There's some words I'm trying to figure out here, is like, how do you discern when there is so much chaos and so forth, like the how do you take the pause to slow down to say, oh, it's within me, versus projecting?
Well, again, back to the meditation practices gives you that where for all that building that muscle, because it is building a muscle, the breath is a big tool. Many
Mm.
times when we're ready to fight, we're ready to get angry, we're ready to explode. Can we just stop and take a couple of breaths? The breaths literally connect you to spirit again and to your body again. And it brings you back to the present moment. Most of our reactions of anger and retaliation come from a trauma, and the reactions coming from the age that trauma hit us. So if it's a 3-year-old, we're acting like a 3-year-old. If it's a 6-year-old, if it's a teenager, we're acting like that from that place because somebody who has spent the time and done the work and can be present, they can feel the anger for sure and the rage. And they might like, whoa, I'm feeling so angry, but you're containing it. You're not thrashing it out at somebody else. You're not lost presence. So I'd say the breath is your quickest and easiest and most profound way to come back to this moment. And something you said, Millie, I'd like to just offer this up.
Mm.
I've heard you use this word numerous times, and I've used it myself, and it's very valid, which is you get permission. And the
Yeah.
permission is because no one's ever told you it was okay, or no one's ever told you, I see your soul. It's okay to be in that soul, right? There's
Mhm.
another level. Just play with this. There's another level. I'm having a mirror reflect back to me who I am. I'm getting to see myself through you.
Mm.
Rather, because the permission goes back to right, the right and wrong, the good and bad. Somebody's saying you can, and somebody's saying you can't.
Yeah.
So at every evolution and personal growth has layers and steps. We don't go from kindergarten to graduate of college in one snap. We go level to level to level. So the sense of permission is one level, and the next level can be, wow, I'm just seeing myself, or I'm seeing the potential of my soul, or I feel my soul because I hear about this. So it's more you rather than someone giving you permission,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can you feel the difference?
I do. And that was interesting. I was explaining last night I have a conversation with a Indian I'm going to bring on, and he was checking me, is how I put it. And where, I was coming across speaking for the whole, the real intention of this portal is for me to learn. And he got me to basically just rephrase it in a way like, I'm looking for connection, and I want to learn. It really is like, and I want to change the world. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, and that brings me back. Well, you comes from within, it's through my being. And that's where it for me is learning discernment, because I have a warrior spirit. And it's part of my nature too, a part of the wolf clan with my tribe. And it's interesting to learn about all of this new discoveries of who my family was and all this. But anyway, it's in my nature, I'm
Mhm.
that's who
Mhm.
I am. And so then it's like, oh, okay, but humility is really what that clan stands for, and to be humble, and that we, the way we protect or are learning, a warrior isn't somebody out there fighting and exhausted all the time, but it's actually who I learned this recently is the person that could go out to the stars and collect the messages from the ancestors and bring back so that they could come into manifestation. And that put a whole new perspective,
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah, the warrior is the one who can sit with themselves in the in between. The warrior is the one that can take the breath. The warrior is the one, that's the true warrior fighting out there. There's a necessity for that at times, and you would be able to show up, thank goodness, right? But truly, the work's internal, always. And the fact that you're doing this show, that is you saying, I'm here to do something about it in my way. And that is to remind everybody of their sacredness and how we all perceive it differently and how we all live it better. And that is the greatest gift you're going to give to the world.
thank you. I appreciate that. It
Yeah.
is, well, it's also just, yeah, I hear you 100% on there. Just sit that with that one.
Let it
Uh,
take it in, right? Let it permeate through those cells of your being and know that that's the truth of your being the warrior. And
And that's where it's bringing people together and uh, being the example, and how when we can open these topics and conversations, it does offer the healing and that collectively we need, is what I see. But it really is healing within myself, and recognizing where we're uh, not in complete control. And to, just that, remember, it is, what's interesting is like being able to see how life works or in my reality, it seems like I go through this like spiral of learning, and the similar situations come up, like for example, even your book, the first one, reading that, where I was in my journey, and then going through the spiral and relearning lessons and everything, and then, oh, here's another one of our books, and that being like an anchor, well, not an anchor, but just more like helps me find confirmation on my journey, because it's really hard, as far as, the, oh, this is one I wanted to chat about. So how do you discern when, I guess you're going to say back to the breath, but ego, like say you're out in the supermarket and, something flash happens, and then all of a sudden, like how do you discern the difference between a message from the ego and a message from spirit?
Okay, I have a perfect example for you. Okay. I'm at the grocery store. You just gave me the example, right? And I went to get into one line, and the sign was up that said close. So I went to the other line, and I'm standing there, and I see a man walk up to go to the line that's closed. And I said, "Oh, that one's closed." And he looks at me, he goes, "I'm fine," or something like that. And I went, "Oh," my ego was like, "I was just trying to help, and you're really being rude." Right.
Yeah.
And then I was able, because of all my years of practice, go, "Oh, take a deep breath, be present to this human being. You have no idea. He could have just lost a family member. He could have just been told he had cancer. You have no idea what's going on in another human being, but I do know what's happening with me, and I want to spread love, not disdain." So he came around behind me and said, he came around behind me. He had one thing in his hand. I said, "Do you want to go in front of me?" And he looked at me, he goes, "I'm okay." He says, "I'm really sorry. I just don't like people telling me what to do. And I didn't realize it was closed." So then we had a little conversation. If I had stayed angry and kept pushing him away and thinking he's a piece of shit, right? Because I could have gone, all that would have been from my trauma, my anger. "You're a bad person. I'm not. Why did you do that?" To, how do I come back to my heart and soul, and how can I be kind?
Mm, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. But it works, and it
It's
takes
practice.
time. It's
Yeah.
practice. And you practice slowly, 5 minutes a day, like I said,
Yeah.
slowly being aware of your own responses.
Would you
And
say, like, it's triggers? I notice a lot of people, it's so quick to be triggered. And then, how do we sit with the trigger and decipher the difference of the trauma, and, like, to empower ourselves through that?
well, because here's the simplicity of that. You, to be aware that you're triggered, you have to be present, which takes the time of learning to be present to yourself, number one. Number two, oh, I'm triggered. How can I be kind to myself? Right?
Mm, yeah.
And the third piece is, do you have a prime directive for your life? Is your purpose to create more love in this world for yourself and others, to make more kindness in this world for yourself and others? Or is it to just react to your triggers and fight people? When
Okay.
you're clear why you're here and what you're doing and why you're doing it, then that's your default, not the traumas. And when the traumas do come up and it comes up, I go, "Oh my God, I just had a huge reaction. Oh my gosh, I want to kill somebody right now. Oh my gosh." And it's a breath, because that does happen. And it's happened to me in the last 6 months. It does happen. But the choice is, I know how to breathe with it, allow it to be what it is, listen to it, be friends with it, learn from it, and the body processes it.
Mm.
I don't keep feeding it. You want to keep feeding anger and hurt and resentment, it'll just keep growing.
Like addiction.
Yes.
Or I reminds me of how Joe Dispenza described like the addicted to the chemical rush in essence. So
Right. Right. Exactly. And we're all
you
addicted to something. It's just life. But choose your addiction.
yeah.
My
Which
addiction is to be creative, or my addiction is to meditate, or my addiction is, it's like choose.
yeah. Well, so you mentioned something I recognize not everyone has ease with discerning or understanding their purpose, as we are unique individuals that are divinely connected. How would you suggest if somebody is, tuning in, plant a seed of what they can do to decipher their purpose?
By remembering the moments when they felt the most alive and the most grateful and the most passionate, because those are the things that are going to continue to move you forward in the direction you want to go. So, is it when you're angry? Is it when you're creative? Is it when the gratitude is because of just being happy to be alive and the sun shining? Just pay attention to what makes you feel more alive and connected to yourself. And if you want more of that, discern what you really want more of in your life
Mm-hmm.
by asking those questions. When do I feel the best? Oh, I want more of that. Well, how do I create more of that? When do I feel most connected and intimate with myself and other? Um, yeah, but it's really that inner place, and it's a self-discovery for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I work with people for those reasons. I help people to do what we've been talking about um, personally on individual basis and in groups. I think you were in one of my groups for the grief,
Yeah,
romancing grief and
agree. Yeah.
of heartbreak, which I'm writing a book on right now for, excuse me, but that's we all learn from each other. And if we can be kind, gentle, and patient with each other and ourselves, so that we're not like, I should be there by now, or I should have that by now. No, you are where you're at. And I think there's three simple things that if we all remember: let go of the past. And you only do that by being present when it rises, right? When that pain of the old rises, to be present with it, it integrates and moves. You don't let go when you hide it back and get rid of it and minimize it and shame it. It'll never go away. Be content with what is right now, meaning that you can appreciate this moment and be present to this moment in all of your heart and soul. And the third is to trust what's coming. And what that means is you trust yourself to know you will show up for no matter what's coming. We can't control anything. It's a total delusion. I think you could control anything. So
As much as try.
but but you
Yeah.
can definitely love yourself, be present to yourself,
Yeah.
kind to yourself, choose for yourself to, listen and feel, be all you can be in that way, not in cultural, societal ways, not in mental ways. That all of it's necessary. It's important we have a good, strong intellect. It's important we have good, healthy, emotional body. But if we let one override the other, or a spiritual life, it needs to be all of it working together in support of what is your intention. What's
Yeah.
your purpose? What
Yeah.
are you putting all your energy into? Because, what you're looking for if it's happiness or joy and love, it's all inside.
Yeah.
Nothing outside will give it to you. Nothing.
That's
Everything
where
outside is limited. Yeah.
the words, your mess is your message, keeps popping up. And that's where it's like really being able to sit and witness with yourself, where those triggers are and what the repeat pattern is. And that's where it's like, for me, you may not have been told in the words, but you helped me to like hear my own story. How was I living my story, and was that really my purpose? That was in a different essence per se. And then being able to, well, just going through the spiritual practices, which looks different for everyone. As far as, I think there's a teacher always that comes present, and that helps us with that reflection, and to be able to appreciate the pain that we sit in sometimes, right? Because that defines,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it motivates, it does a bunch for us.
Right. Well, you know what, Millie, I just realized if your listeners are inclined, if they want to go to my website, I'm happy to give them like 30 different practices and meditations that are short and simple for them to learn from if they'd like. And
Yes.
my gift to them. But yeah, there's a lot to our lives, and it's important to know what we're choosing to create with them.
Yes. And thank you for, just um, how you're able to express the way of living as sacred, sacred to yourself. And, I love how you also, as far as like, you listen to yourself, as far as like, we talked about the miracle morning once, and I was like, get up at 5 a.m. and do this. And you're like, that's what I did. And if you hadn't said that, I would have not, my calendar would still be like burnout mode, and it gave me that opportunity to say, oh, I changed just as the season changed, and I can adjust these practices, and, and give myself forgiveness also of when I get into, my trigger, and to be able to like, thank you for the tips of how to embody that.
Right. Well, again, it's coming back to Millie. What was your intention for doing that to begin with, right? This was a plan. Somebody created it. This is how you're going to be successful. You get up at 5, you do this, you do, and by this time, and so it's driven, number one, but it's driven for quote success, whatever that is for you. But you're trying to get somewhere, trying to accomplish something. Nothing bad about it, but when it is totally mechanical and driven for something in the future, and meanwhile you're losing your heart and your soul, that doesn't serve anything or anybody, right?
Yeah.
You will achieve with your clarity of your soul's journey. There's something I coined, it's living a wise life. And that's a life that is filled with being wild, iconic, soulful. So you're a wild, iconic, and soulful expression of life.
Lovely.
Where is the wild? It's free. It's spontaneous, right? It's tapped into all the potentiality. And the iconic is your uniqueness. This is iconic. Making America soulful again is iconic, right?
It very much could be.
Right. And living a soulful life, and then that's your expression. And so I like to help people bring their wise, wild, iconic, and soulful expression to life through their way. Is it through story, writing, poetry, art, music, podcasts? It doesn't matter what it is, but how are you bringing it to life in your
Yes. Well, and that's what was great, is the wholeness. And yes, your books and just your way. I definitely recommend everybody visit your website, KeraniMarie.com, correct?
right.
And are you also doing the So Wise creation for your publishing?
Yes.
Yeah, and that one I definitely want to shout out. It
And
beauty.
that's stories of wild, iconic, and soulful expression.
Yeah, it's so good
The
because
wise creations, yes.
you'll be able to help people. I've run across people that always, it seems so daunting to write a book, but working with you, I look forward to it where you'll help us pull out all of this.
Absolutely. And you can also sign up on my website for a free consultation to see, I can help you look at where you're at, where you want to go, and if we're a good match to work together.
I love it. Well, KeraniMarie.com. And you had said so much there. So there's, let me see, first. Oh, okay. So yes, the being able to embody the fullness of ourselves. And I want to thank you for, I'm going to say giving or being the example. How about we'll change it to that? Thank you for leading by example. So I also felt comfortable to embody myself fully and to share my emotions and to giving me tips today. I'll continue.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Millie. And it's just, um, it's an honor to walk this earth with you and to see what you're creating. And I am really grateful that you invited me on the show.
I
So
look forward to
forward to
doing it.
more. All
I
right.
know we'll have more. I could pick your brain forever, your heart,
Okay. Love
but
you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
I love you so much. And everybody, make sure you go visit Karani Marie's website, check out her books. They are life-changing, Emerging Woman, and then From the Tomb to the Womb. And then Karani Marie, also, you have you're a publisher, you help people to write their books and bring out their magic. And then you host different workshops and events and groups. And so definitely follow her page so that you can get these tidbits of divine wisdom that, we all need along the way. So thank you for being one of our wise
Thank
women to
you.
help us as our guides.
From one wise woman to another. Bye, sweetheart.
Many blessings. Own your dreams.
You too.